there's a lot of people saying, call for a general strike, call for a general strike. The majority of Americans don't know what a general strike is. And so our responsibility is to talk about it, expand consciousness about it, and to actually create the conditions in which working people can generate and really exercise their own power, the power that they already have for themselves.
Ocasio-Cortez wants a general strike. And for those of you who are unfamiliar, and she says a lot of people don't know what this is, it goes back to the labor movement, but also has a lot of roots in socialism and communism. And the people calling for general strikes at the turn of at the end of the 19th and into the early 20th century were, a lot of them, commies. And I mean actual communists. I don't just mean commies as a slap at libs today, who increasingly view themselves as effectively ideologically aligned with communists, or at least their policies are closer and closer to communism. But this is a reminder, folks, that even when the country is about to see the highest unemployment number, this is going to happen tomorrow, we're going to have the highest unemployment number we've ever had, ever, in the history of this country. And there's going to be there are going to be voices saying that now is the perfect time to demand concessions from capitalism. Now is when you want to try to exert maximum leverage and pressure against capitalism so that people who have an agenda like AOC can get their policy preferences done, because we're in a moment of crisis, right? Crisis is an opportunity. We all know this. But some people exploit that. Others don't. The left is going to. I mean, what is the big right-wing wish list item that this pandemic might lead to? We look at this and what are we calling for exactly? The left has a whole litany of things, a whole bunch of stuff that they want. And they want to advance the cause of socialism, especially as we're seeing these checks getting written to people across. And again, I'm nothing but supportive of anyone who's getting a check now from the government. The government took your business and your job away from you, so you should be getting a check from the government. This is not in any sense welfare or the government extending beyond its mandate. If the government shows up one day and says, "Hey, you can't go into that house because we say so," they got an obligation to give you another house. They don't just get to take your house because, and that's effectively what they've done here with your paycheck. But while we're seeing that happen, the libs view this as an opportunity really to use this as a test run for greater socialism across the country. We are seeing what could very easily be the template for a universal basic income, for a $20 minimum wage across the whole nation, for a whole bunch of measures that, remember, Joe Biden is too much of an imbecile he's not ideologically aligned with any of this, but he's just the Democrat figurehead that they will use as he's the vessel for them to get what they want when he's in power. The AOCs and the Pelosi's and so on and so forth, they will go to Biden and say, well, first of all, they're the ones that'll draft the legislation that's the socialist crap, and they'll go and they'll tell Biden what he's supposed to do. He doesn't have any ideological objection to this. And we were talking to our buddy Dave Harsanyi about this yesterday. Biden is somebody who disagrees with Biden at different points in his past as a political figure. He's just at constant war with himself. Right? He changes all the time. This is what he stands for. That's what he stands for. And then the guy has no moral or ethical core whatsoever. And in that sense, he's actually a perfect Democrat. In that sense, he's exactly what the Democratic Party wants and needs. And then we have a wonderful Bidenism. Oh, wait. Before I get to that, the great Bidenism, which is coming. It's coming. You're going to enjoy it. Calling for a general strike while the country is facing the highest unemployment ever. Isn't that interesting? This is when we are in this moment of national panic. The AOCs of the world, who she's still getting a paycheck, she still has health care, she's under no financial duress whatsoever, okay? She's saying, hey, everybody, now's the time to think of the chaos that this could send the country into. A general strike right now? Who would be striking? Essential workers. What would that mean? Food, transport, health care. Effectively, that's what would be. And then civil services, police, fire. A strike of the only people allowed to go to work right now would put this country over the edge. And that's exactly what they want. See, that's how much they love America. I mean, they love America, to the degree that they're willing to burn it down in order to make it better. That's their plan. This is what true radicals think. This is how radicals approach a moment like the one that we're in. And we have to remember this, because if you extend to them good faith that they will not extend to you, you will always be surprised and you'll always be caught off guard by them. They do not have the best interests. The left in this country does not have the best interests of their fellow Americans at heart. They are ideologues driven by, one, an ignorance of the past. What they've wanted in the past has been a catastrophic failure in society after society, and destroys wealth, destroys freedom, the things that make this country so great. They want to shift that around. They want to turn it upside down. And if you stand in their way, they're willing to be absolutely ruthless. And they'll exploit any political narrative. They'll exploit any investigative body, any law enforcement tools they have, whatever they can. They will try to crush you because socialism and absolutism go together, as we know. And history shows us this without any question. And then we have a Bidenism that I have to keep reminding you that they're out there telling us that Biden is awesome and he would save thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of lives as compared to Trump, who's just so terrible and awful. Here is the kind of stuff that Joe Biden goes around saying. Play clip 5.
The pandemic is that the president has no intercourse whatsoever with the rest of the world on dealing with these things. We led, like Barack Obama led in the in the pandemic that occurred when we were in office. It was kept in Africa. We organized the world. We put things together.
Joe Biden here. The pandemic is that this president has no intercourse with the rest of the world. I mean, the president was definitely a ladies' man in his day. But no intercourse with the rest of the world. That's Joe Biden for you. This is the second. He keeps using this word. And I understand that words can have multiple meanings, but find a different word, Joe. Interaction, exchange. Stop running around talking about Trump needs more intercourse. We're all seeing this and saying, what do you not get here? I mean, it's a little bit like the Alex Jones thing when he's like, I will eat your ass. We know that he meant cannibalism, but, Alex Jones also should probably spend a little more time reading up on pop culture before he runs around saying these things. Nonetheless, Joe Biden is claiming here that the president has no intercourse with the rest of the world. I mean, that's not true. We had Secretary of State Pompeo, as you know, on the show, and there's a lot that's going on with our partners. There's a lot that's going on to our north with Canada or south with Mexico, and then all over the globe, sharing information about how to treat this virus, which still they're not very good at. Let's remember that so far, global medical knowledge has been a big letdown on this. We are not able to do anything really notable to save a whole lot of people that get very sick with this. Just look at the numbers, you see that. Ventilators were talked about as if they were a real treatment. Ventilators were a last-ditch effort to just keep people breathing while this virus was ravaging their lungs. Anyway. And then you have the allegations against Biden and where the conservatives are on this, where the libs are on this. This is an interesting discussion in and of itself.
Now that he has given that answer, do you view this as a closed issue, or what is your response?
Well, it is for me. I have said I am proud to support Joe Biden for president. I believe him when he says it didn't happen, but I also believe him when he said let them look into the records, and that's what they should do. But I'm not going to answer this question again. I will just say I have every confidence that Joe Biden will be a great president of the United States.
Isn't there so much here? First of all, I love that Nancy Pelosi, because the media effectively works for her and she knows it, right? I mean, the media are like her lackeys. So she can just say, I'm not answering this question again. Do you think any other politician would get away with that? How many times was Trump asked about Vladimir Putin or a conversation with Russia or, whatever? How many times did they ask him the same stupid, dumbass question? How many times in the COVID pandemic response press conferences he's had do they ask the same, why'd you support hydroxychloroquine? Why do you, they hammer part of the propaganda effect that liberals love is the repetition of a question meant to undermine. Just keep asking, keep asking. It doesn't matter that the answer is always the same. Keep asking, keep asking. It keeps it in the mind of people listening. And Pelosi's like, excuse me, talking to the journos here, you do as I say. I'm not answering this question again. Oh, yeah. Speak truth to power, right? That's what journalists do. Please. Lapdogs for power. That's what journalists actually are in this country. But Pelosi's not alone here. You also have Governor Whitmer. It's gone from believe women, that was the Democrat standard under Kavanaugh, to now believe Biden. They have a believe Biden standard. Oh, that's very convenient, isn't it? Very convenient indeed. Play 10.
I do believe that women should be given space and they should be listened to. But I also know that it's incumbent that we vet thoroughly. And in this moment, I think under these circumstances and in the conversations that I've had with the vice president, I am confident that he is who he says he is. And I believe him. And I believe that he will be a good president for the United States of America. And beyond that, I don't know that there's much more that I can add.
I believe him. End of story. Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad that there's no longer this believe women standard. Now that's, I'm going to say this, and I give Tucker credit for on his show last night. Some of you have probably figured out the only cable news show that I make a habit of I don't watch any cable news show every day, but the only cable news show I really make a habit of watching is Tucker's show on Fox, because I think he's been hitting home runs with the monologue night after night for really most of this year. But a lot of the other a lot of the other cable news shows on other channels are horrible. But anyway, there's a fair bit of repetition, it feels like, on some of these shows, even the ones where I like the people that are doing the shows. So Tucker was saying that, look, we should look at the evidence, right? An evidence-based standard would be really nice here. Let's assess this like reasonable people. Does Tara Reade, is it an open and shut case against Joe Biden? No, it's not. See, we conservatives, we have principles, so we can have real discussions about this. I'm completely willing to give Joe Biden the benefit of weighing facts, weighing the allegations, looking at the inconsistencies as they are in Tara Reade's story, or the holes, the problems, the possible political motivations. This is the way it should always be. And the problem that we're having right now in this particular moment is that the consensus of the progressive left has been that women are to be believed irrespective of whatever the facts may be, irrespective of facts contrary to the veracity of their allegations or the facts that undermine the truthfulness of their allegations. So, as I look at this now, I just say, oh, notice how we are already having some of our biggest voices on the right say, look, maybe Joe Biden didn't do this. And I'll tell you that right now. I think that's true. I've thought that's possible all along. It's a credible allegation, but that's not the same thing as saying it's a true allegation. Credible doesn't mean true. This is what liberals played all these games, though. They were changing the standards all the time. Credible does not mean true. And we should be able to look at this and come to a determination about whether Joe Biden is fit for office based upon whether Joe Biden seems to be guilty of having committed this offense. Even though I know it's not a judicial proceeding, we should be able to analyze this, right? But then there's another standard that's a courtesy and a decency and an intellectual consistency that you will never see on the left with this stuff. They don't believe, no. Because it's all about power. And the left does not adhere to any particular morality, right? They make it up as they go along. So that gives them a tremendous amount of maneuverability and moral latitude. But this is a piece in, and this is incredible. This is a piece in the New York Times opinion section today. And the title is, I believe Tara Reade. I'm voting for Joe Biden anyway. Quote, so what is the greatest good or the greatest harm? Mr. Biden and the Democrats he may carry with him into government are likely to do more good for women and the nation than his competition, the worst president in the history of the republic. Compared with the good Mr. Biden can do, the cost of dismissing Tara Reade and worse, weakening the voices of future survivors is worth it. And don't call me an amoral realist. Utilitarianism is not a moral abdication. It is a moral stance. I believe Joe Biden, she says, but it's worth it to vote for the rapist. He's accused of penetrating a woman against her will without consent. That's rape. We keep calling it sexual assault, which it also is. But if there was any penetration, I mean, he stuck his hands. I'm not going to get into the details on the radio, but it was not not a little thing. It wasn't like a hand on the back in a kind of weird, It would have been a criminal act had it been established at the time and charged. So she's saying, I mean, this is in the New York Times opinion section, that it doesn't matter. And this reminds me of the Bill Clinton era as well. He lied under oath, but lying didn't matter. And lying under oath didn't matter because he was too important. He was too important. Now, the hypocrisy must be mind-blowing for anyone listening to this right now, because we have been told for years, including by some former Republicans or, quasi-Republicans now, that you can't make these kinds of calculations about Trump, that the imperfect man cannot be a powerful vessel for conservative policies and ideologies. We've been told that that's unacceptable. Meanwhile, there's this growing movement around Joe Biden to do exactly that. Do you think the left will have any compunction about this? You think they'll feel like there's anything wrong with them just completely shifting the goalposts here, shifting their standard? No, of course not. Whatever they have to do to make sure, and look, to make sure that Joe Biden wins, and even think about the way that Trump preferred. Trump even said, "Look, some people lie. I don't know. Joe Biden's got to deal with this," but he didn't take the ugly, cheap shot against Biden on this, because he says, "Look, I've been falsely accused of things too." Are we going to return to a sane society where allegations are? Yeah, I love that. You gotta laugh. They say women should be heard. Yeah, we all think people who make criminal allegations against other people need to be heard. We don't need to be told that. People need to allow this to be said and then to process it. Thanks, we know. It's like saying, people need to breathe and open their ears as they listen. Yeah, we know. We get that. Thanks a lot. But here's where this is all heading. Just the same way that I told you, and there were others, but I was somebody who was saying, just wait until the Democrats have somebody that matters to them who's accused, and they're going to abandon all the things they were saying about Kavanaugh, all the standards that they were insisting on then. Now they want due process. They want a fair, they want a fair assessment of facts and evidence, and they want some degree of presumption of innocence. When we go past this election and we go into another moment when they really want to destroy a Republican, people who are writing right now that they believe Joe Biden, or writing that they'll vote for Joe Biden even if they think that he did this, they'll be saying this Republican must step down right away because of the allegation, because women must be believed. They'll switch right back to the standard. They just don't care. They don't care how unethical and how grotesque it is. They'll do it. I guarantee you.
Time for roll call.
See, Producer Mark, we had to bring back the roll call. It just doesn't feel the same without it.
That was a surprise to me. I didn't even know you had those.
Oh, but I do. I kept a copy of them. Those roll calls are sacred, my friend. It's time to bring them back. People are like, what's going on? Are we even in roll call? I can't know.
I don't
unless
think
Buck plays
even
the corny,
one person has noticed.
Unless Buck plays the corny music. I think people want their corny music again, Producer Mark. Let's not deny them the cheesy roll call intro. I think we're going to bring it back. I'm going to send you some copies of it so we have it going forward. But it's a fun thing, and I want the big band, the hard rock, we even have our dubstep roll call intro. We're bringing them all back. It's been too long.
Well, people also want the Siege of Malta podcast, so maybe you could get on that too.
That is true. I have seen those emails.
I've actually seen emails about that.
Yeah, I have made promises. So that is a fair point, I will say. But I will also tell everybody that we're bringing roll call intro back, just like we're bringing sexy back. And that's how we do it here. So with that, I wanted to get into the latest here. By the way, Producer Mark, I started watching on your recommendation. I wanted you to know. I didn't bring this up earlier in the week. I forgot. I started watching the Creek of the blank people. I don't know what to say.
Can we spell it?
The SCHITT Creek. people. I watched that show. It is funny. It reminds me a lot of the what was the Arrested Development show.
I've heard that comparison.
Yeah, very sort of similar storyline. But no, so far it's pretty good, I have to say.
Yeah, and it only gets better.
And I wanted to ask you what you thought of the Jerry Seinfeld stand-up.
Oh, is it out? I didn't watch it yet.
It is on
We've been
Netflix,
watching
yes.
Waco.
What do you think?
Well, we're 4 episodes in. My wife and I love it. Like we're hooked
Great,
on it.
right?
Yeah.
I'm also on the 4th episode, so that's kind of funny. We're in the same place. It's a remarkable show. Really, really well done.
I'll have to
And
get to the Seinfeld special next now.
Yeah, I want to find what the I really want to find what the best readout of what really happened there, because I was too young to remember it as it happened, and it's not something I've read too much on. I feel like this audience probably knows a lot about Waco, so just based on the interest in Second Amendment and government overreach, and I'm sure there's some people out there listening who know the story in great detail. I'm just wondering if I can. What I really want, and I'm surprised they don't do this more, is when you see a show like that, there needs to be a companion something. I don't know if it's a website piece or if it's a documentary or something that tells you what is really true in it. Because a lot of what they do in the Waco show is very true to life. A lot of the at least the timelines and some of the basic stuff. So I would like to know that, because man, the ATF looks terrible, right? Whew.
Yeah, it really makes them look awful.
Like the FBI at least has some good. The FBI comes out with some good guys who are trying. There's some bad guys in the FBI too, but the ATF is just like, whoa, what is going on over there? People don't realize it's under the DOJ as well. It's just like a little mini FBI that focuses on alcohol and tobacco and guns. Which why do we have a federal agency that looks at those things? Conversation for another time. All righty. Jim writes in, Buck, I live in Broomfield, Colorado, and had a chance to catch part of your program this afternoon. You're so right about needing to get everyone back to work and stop all the garbage, putting it as nicely as I can. Some of us in this city are so fed up with our governor, Polis, and his Democratic excuses and overwhelming greed for power. We have city leaders and law enforcement here that are threatening us with fines and jail time if we don't do what they want. And this afternoon, Polis tried to say that the mandatory mask issue is now a law. Really? There have been people at our Capitol building in Denver with guns protesting. He is really pushing his luck. Most of the city, state leaders and law enforcement here are so enthralled with their power, they are blinded by the struggles of their citizens. I fear that if they keep forcing us into a more desperate situation and keep pushing us further and further into a corner, things are going to get ugly. People are not going to continue to tolerate the blatant abuse of power and denying us basic liberties and freedoms. Jim, yes, I think you're right. I think people are getting tired of this. I think that the timeline on this, the sand in the hourglass is getting very thin, very fine on the top part of it. There's not going to be able to, the government authorities are not going to be able to continue to demand that people just obey this stuff and keep doing this. So I don't know where this goes unless they wise up and let up and start to let people have, and this is about having their lives back. I mean, this is about having basic freedom back and not denying that there's terrible suffering going on for millions and millions of people. I mean, tomorrow there'll be at least a temporary renewed focus on all of this because we'll see the jobs numbers, and the jobs numbers will be utterly catastrophic. They will be utterly catastrophic. And that's what we're heading for. So I hope that they heed the words of and the cries and the admonitions of their citizens in these various states, because we're getting really, really tired of this. I am very respectful of law enforcement. I know that they have a super important job and they hold society together. I got to tell you, if I'm out in public and I'm walking around and a member of my old employer, the NYPD, they ask me, hey, buddy, if they're nice about it, they say, put a mask on. I'm like, all right, I get it. I'll put the mask on. But, they get snippy with me. I don't know. I might get a little snippy back, which is not a good idea. I never recommend that. Don't do that with law enforcement. But let's just say it would not be a quiet encounter that nobody else would hear about, including very high up folks at the NYPD, because we need to stop this crap. We need to stop this. Richard Hey, Buck. Hello. I'm happy to inform you that after a month of being furloughed, the factory I work for here in North Carolina reopened today. That means 2,000 to 3,000 people going back to work. We have to wear masks, and they're checking temperatures on entry. The masks they gave us to protect us from the Wuhan flu are made in Wuhan, China. Well, that's what you call ironic. I have ordered some better masks from Freaker USA, which are made here in North Carolina. I've never heard of Freaker USA, but interesting. It's so nice to earn my money from my labor and not from the state. I hope our Democratic governor will open up the state soon. Stay safe and keep your sanitized shield high. Well, Richard, man, I'm glad that you're able to get back out there and get back in the mix and do your job. And I know that there's a satisfaction that you get from working that you will never be able to get from the government just giving someone a check, even when the government owes you the money, as they do. So, yeah. Richard, good on you, my friend. Keep your shield high, sanitized, and high. Make sure you stay safe down there in North Carolina, where I will, at least as of now, I'm still planning on being in Craven County, North Carolina on the 12th of June. So almost just about, 5 weeks out. I'm supposed to be down there. So if you happen to be in the North Carolina area, I'm going to give a speech. I'll be down there. I'll be hanging out. Not sure how many hands I'll be shaking, but I'll definitely be chatting with folks. And I don't know. I mean, I wish I was able to shake hands. I think we're all just going to break down over this stuff in time and just say that, screw it. And that's where I think this is all heading. I don't know what else to say. Otherwise, what, we're just going to live? We're going to live like the mole people forever. We can't go outside. Makes no sense. Steven, the upper accent you heard about, is that how you say, or you upper, right? U-P-E-R? Youper. I knew I was saying it. The Youper accent you heard about, correct. The further north and west you get into Michigan's Upper Peninsula, the more the accent starts to sound like your Minnesota one. Keep doing what you do. Well, Stephen, good to know, yeah? Yeah. Oh, gosh. Oh, people in Minnesota, they are so nice, though. They just want to help you out, and they're so nice, and they're friendly, and, oh, you need a sweater and a coat. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean?
Sure, whatever it is that you just said.
Exactly. Dennis. Hey, Buck and producer Mark. How interesting that Governor Cuomo would make the statement that one could literally kill someone by not wearing a mask. However, I believe if someone is killed from the result of being shot by a firearm, he would say it is the firearm that killed the individual, not the perpetrator. So I guess you're saying, Dennis, that the virus kills people, not people kill. Wait, what are you, producer Mark? Are you seeing what he's saying here?
I think he's saying you're killing people by not wearing a mask. Cuomo's saying you're killing people by not wearing a mask, but the gun would kill people if you shoot somebody, not the person. No, but I think Cuomo would say the person killed. That's why I'm confused. Yeah, I mean, it is confusing, but I kind of get the point.
Yeah, okay. I think I know what he's kind of going for here, but I think it was a little bit off target. But hey, Dennis, we love you. Thank you for sending it in. I tried. All right, I did try. Send us another one. Take another shot. Don't be shy about it. I had a long night. I had Toulouse, the Frenchie. Oh boy, she had an upset tummy last night, and she just kept waking me up all night, and I didn't know what was going on because I haven't had her for that long. I've never been through this before, and whew, man, I spent the morning on cleanup duty out in the living room. That was not fun. So I'm a little bit worn out today. Usually I come in here with all my fired up energy, 5 hours of radio, no problem, just banging it out. I got Malta podcast on the brain. I got all kinds of things going. There we have it. David. Buck, as you know, when the Communist Party comes to power in any country, they rewrite all of the country's history. Apparently, they have come to power in the U.S., at least in New York. If Trump is reelected, could he issue an executive order banning the 1619 Project being used in history books anywhere in the country? It seems like Obama issued EOs for almost anything. Better yet, if he can't ban it from the history books, he should require that anyone teaching it will lose their teaching certificate so they can never teach anywhere again in our country. People who teach the 1619 Project should be barred from teaching. David, thank you for writing in. So I'm always opposed, as a matter of principle, I'm opposed to the banning of books, and in this case, it would be the banning of the teaching of a series of news articles. You see, the problem is not with the existence of a 1619 project. If somebody wants to make a false argument about the importance, the central, the paramount importance of slavery as an institution to the entire American experiment, they completely should be allowed to do that. And if people want to teach it, they should be allowed to do that too. The problem that we have is that it will be taught in our public schools as truth when it is not truth. And to try and stop that becomes very difficult because we don't want to shut down debate and the free exchange of ideas. So while I can appreciate that you see the tactic the left would use is an executive order to ban something that they don't like, that's an idea that they don't like, we should not mirror that tactic. There have to be some places where we'll draw a line in the sand, and I think this has got to be one of them. The 1619 Project is not factual, not factually sufficient for a Pulitzer, but really a Pulitzer Prize is just, this is what an echelon of elitist journos give to each other as a pat on the back. I mean, it's all just a big self-licking lib ice cream cone. So it's not surprising that this really happened in that regard. But no, I don't think we should do an EO banning it because we don't ban books. We don't ban ideas. We debate them. We discuss them. We share them. We shout them down or shoot them down using logic and reason and facts. I don't mean shout them down as in not allow the other person to speak, but we will decry them, but we don't ban them. We don't use the force of the state to say you can't do this. Now, should schools be teaching this? No, but that's going to be a school board issue, and unfortunately, the lib propaganda factories that are our public schools, they're going to be teaching this. Before I continue on with roll call, I just want to say, man, producer Mark, I've told you the Snow Princess is a fantastic baker, and she made a whole pan just because she felt like it, a whole pan of brownies. I think she made them less than 36 hours ago, and the brownie pan is almost gone, and I've basically been eating it all myself.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
Yeah.
Do you go brownie a la mode?
Oh, you know it. I've discovered a Van Leeuwen honeycomb ice cream flavor. Van Leeuwen's great ice cream. It's kind of fancy ice cream, but whatever. I'm a bougie food guy, and ooh, it's amazing. It's amazing. Do you have a favorite brand? I know we've talked flavors, and we always make fun of strawberry. Do you have like a go-to brand? I'd say for me, Van Leeuwen is actually probably my favorite ice cream.
I've never even heard of that, but I guess I just go.
It's Brooklyn hipster stuff.
Oh yeah, it's definitely hipster. It's Nancy Pelosi kind of ice cream.
Yeah, I'm sure Nancy is all about the Van Leeuwen. Yeah.
I have to just go Ben and Jerry's just because I love like stuff in my ice cream.
See, I would, but some of the pretzels and things like that.
Yeah, it's probably bad for you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough for me, but no, Ben and Jerry's is great. I think I'm. If you're asking me though for like the tried and true, if I'm gonna go old school, Haagen-Dazs.
Oh yeah, Haagen-Dazs chocolate is better than anything.
Haagen-Dazs, the chocolate and the coffee are they get it done, man. They just get it done. It's always a really good. Whew. But yeah, I don't know. I'm worried. Like, it's a good thing that I don't do a show standing up on TV right now because job of the buck. I'm trying to eat relatively healthy. What do we have to do, though, other than I work all day, like all day. You're working all the time. We're home. We can't go out. We can't work out. If we're not going to eat food, what joy is there for us to have right now?
Yeah. As I've said many times, if I don't eat like crap, I'm going to go nuts.
Yeah. I'm with you on that one, man. But this I keep hoping. Now I'm at the point where I'm like trying to extend out the brownie pan just because I don't want to be grossed out by how quickly I've eaten all of Snow Princess's brownies that she left here. Because it was a whole thing, and there's just me eating them. So there's just,
she didn't have any.
She's had a little bit, but I mean you're
a growing boy.
Yeah, I'm just pounding through. She has like a little bit of it, and she's keeping it in moderation. I'm just like handfuls of it. I'm like, I'm having a cup of coffee. Time to have a brownie with it. Like, it's really easy to just work it in. Chris wrote, I heard on yesterday's program you are frustrated with Drudge's explosive headlines. I just want to say that I, too, am frustrated. He is linking to news stories and giving them a supercharged headline. It's only after you read the story you find out that either he is misrepresenting the news story or the content of the story is not based in research, but rather anecdotal stories that have no scientific corroboration. I only log on there once a day or so because of this. Love the show. Hope all is well. Chris, thanks so much, man. I agree with you. That's where the Drudge Report's been losing me recently. I really feel like they've just been doing the panic porn thing, and I don't like it. And I'm somebody, I've been reading the Drudge Report pretty much daily since I was in college. So that's going back a long time now. Duke writes, hey, Buck, we're in week 6 of our 4-week lockdown. Yeah. Here in New Zealand, we now have 0 new cases across the country for 3 days straight and 0 active cases in our region for 3 weeks. Still, our much-loved Prime Minister got her taste of power, and being good little socialists will not open up for business. Now we have shortages of medicine and a stoppage of all but emergency medical treatment. Yep, that's called lockdown. Even when we get the numbers they say we need, they want to keep the lockdown going. My friends, go to bucksexton.com. Check out our podcast. Subscribe to it. Tomorrow, we'll be back. Shields high.